on your seatbelts for the realest Eagles and Sixers YouTuber! One who plays no clickbait and gets to the point! The myth, the legend, Nicky Steves! On the My Channel, you know the deal. Yo, boy, always keeps things real. Accidentally statue things they slate, dropping unrealistic mad 2K takes for the clip. Even though cats like that get views closer to the milli, never hear me preach, flip on to Philly. Avoid you watching the Eagles all the way through to early 22. Authentic talk, forget what others do. Come to My Channel, you know the deal. Yo, boy, always keeps things real. The 24/7, 365 way. Sports content for the reals that feel the day. Happy Sunday evening, folks. I'm doing this a lot sooner than usual. Instead of on Tuesday, we're doing it Sunday night. Less than 12 hours after the Eagles' Week 7, 28-3 victory over the New York Giants to advance to 4-2 on the season. We went into this game, I was thinking it would be closer than usual because the Eagles haven't exactly played up to their abilities at all this season. They haven't played up to expectations. With this game against the Giants, is going to be, on one hand, the perspective of, hey, we got to win. A win's a win. Let's be proud of it. On the other hand, there's the perspective of, yeah, but it's only the Giants. And there's going to be, so that will come into play. But at the same time, to me, it's like, this is what you're supposed to do in a situation like this when you're playing the Giants. You're playing a team that is awful at the bottom of the league. You're supposed to take care of business and dominate. And that's what the Philadelphia Eagles did today, folks. They looked impressive throughout the game. They struggled in the first quarter, granted, gave up a few sacks, had some false start penalties, pushing back, caused a few punts early. But in the second quarter, once Saquon Barkley had that first big run, from that point on, it was all Philadelphia Eagles at that point, baby. And that's when we took over the game and really started to take control of things. Yeah, that's when we were taking control of the game. That's when we were doing our thing, ripping it apart, scoring. When Saquon Barkley came out to play, you also had Jalen Hurts had 2 rushing touchdowns, and he was solid passing. Granted, this was against the Giants team that's pretty much dead in the water, but hey, you're supposed to beat up on bad teams like the Giants, and the Eagles did that. Now, will they be able to keep this momentum going forward from this game into next week against the Bengals, and then so on and so forth? That remains to be seen. But as of now, this is a good momentum center. This was a good way to go out and take care of business. And we actually did it. We actually favored the run in this game. We let Saquon Barkley feast on his old team. Even the Eagles, who love to favor the pass, sometimes get greedy with the play calling. Looking at you, Nick Sirianni. But even in this case, he realized, okay, it's against the Giants, Saquon's old team. Saquon's looking to have himself an excellent game. Give him the ball. Let him make his plays. Even this time around, head coach realized it, and they said, hey, let's give Barkley the ball, let him run, and that's exactly what happened in this one. Saquon had an excellent performance. You also had A.J. Brown had himself a solid performance as well. In the passing game, he was the main target. In the defense, holy smokes, 8 sacks. Now, granted, it was against the Giants, but still, 8 sacks. It's about time we got pressure on the quarterback. It is something we needed to do. That was awesome. Little G Griffith stopping through. We had, we tallied 8 sacks total. Nakobe Dean twice, Jalen Carter twice. You had Smith, Huff, Sweat, and Hunt all had 1 sack each. It's crazy considering Daniel Jones is a mobile quarterback and his feet are the one thing he has going, which I said in the preview. The best shot the Giants have on offense are Malik Neighbors and Daniel Jones' feet. Daniel Jones couldn't move much. We still got to him 8 times, and Malik Neighbors had 4 receptions for 41 yards. He was barely effective in this game. And then Darius Slayton, the other decent weapon on that offense, he only got 1 reception for 11 yards all game. He didn't do anything really of note in this one. But just all around excellent performance by this Philadelphia Eagles team on defense, granted against the Giants, but still, they did what they needed to. They shut them down. They kept the Giants out of the end zone all game. So for 2 straight weeks, our defense has given up 0 touchdowns. Because remember, the touchdown against the Browns was not on our defense. That was a blocked field goal return for a touchdown. The defense only gave up field goals. And today, they only let the Giants score 3 points. Sure, they did have a touchdown, but it was erased, so it didn't count. And then you had, like I said, this was just, the offense finally did what they needed to. The coordinators realized, hey, let's favor the run in this one. And we did. And Saquon only had 17 carries. And he feasted off that Giants defense. 176 yards. He were plays. He was dragging the Giants with him and saying, you guys needed me. This is what you get for getting rid of me. That's what Saquon all game. This was his statement to the Giants to remind them, hey, you picked Daniel Jones over me? Man, my new homies just dropped him 8 times. I ran for nearly 200 yards on your behinds, and you guys picked him over me. That's what type of day this was for Saquon. Even with the crowd booing and with some of the trash talking going back and forth with former players, which I'm sure some of it was fun too. I'm sure it was just all competitive, but hey, Saquon had himself an excellent day. He knew what he was walking into. He embraced the environment. He did what he needed to. Sure, early on, it took a few carries for him to really get going. First couple carries, it looked like the Giants defense had his number, but the Eagles didn't give up on running the ball, and Saquon was able to break a few big runs and do his thing. And those big runs helped make a huge difference in this game. So it didn't matter. So it was just an all-around excellent performance by Saquon Barkley. So let's just say that. Giants, y'all just prove that, the shadow of a doubt, y'all organization is trash. Y'all was dumb as hell for letting Saquon Barkley not get that bread. Y'all had that decision to make back in 2023 offseason, either Daniel Jones or Saquon. You chose to extend Daniel Jones, a la the Jacksonville Jaguars extending Blake Bortles after 1 season of exceeding expectations. That's exactly what happened here. It's even worse for the Giants now. And just Brian DeBall, it's just like that Jaguars situation all over again, as Daniel Berry Sports Highlights stops by in the chat. Longtime supporter of my streams. Thanks as always for your support. Just tell you, it was crazy. The Giants actually picked Daniel Jones. They thought that one halfway decent season was good enough to give him a big contract. Not realizing that Saquon, who was fully healthy that season, was a key piece to that offense. Not to mention they had a bit of an easier schedule that year. You had to play the entire AFC South, which was a dumpster fire. Texans were still dumpster fire at the time. Colts were dumpster fire. Jags had that one little magical run late in the season to win that division. Titans were declining with Derrick Henry, but man, as a team they were declining. But yeah, the Giants had that right there. You had Washington twice. You had a few other easy games right there on that schedule in the NFC. And so the Giants took advantage of that easy schedule and cruised their way to a 9-win season with Brian DeBall as the head coach. And everyone thought he was an excellent coach. He was the answer for this team. And the Giants thought Daniel Jones had finally turned a quarter. He finally was turning his career around. It was going to be kind of like Drew Brees, but that didn't happen. But I don't want to ramble into it. But they dumbasses passed on Saquon thinking that Daniel Jones was the dude. And long story short, here we are now 2 years later. What's going on? Saquon came and ran all over the New York Giants. Exactly. 2 years later, what happened? Oh, wait, that's right. The Eagles have Saquon Barkley. Giants are still stuck with Daniel Jones. Brian Daboll looks like one of the stupidest coaches in the league. And the Philadelphia Eagles expose y'all guys. Expose y'all as bums. Y'all guys have been trash ever since. Y'all won that 4th Super Bowl and beat the Patriots for the 2nd time. Y'all sold your souls for that 4th Super Bowl. Ever since then, you've had 2 playoff appearances, 3 winning seasons. 2 years ago, you had that winning season, which is a fluke. Now we're back down to reality, and the Eagles made you look like the 0-16 Detroit Lions of 2008 and the 0-16 Cleveland Browns of 2017. Okay, maybe that joke's a little bit of a stretch, but the way the Eagles perform, the way the Giants perform, Giants look like they have nothing. And it's obvious, Brian Daboll, he don't know what he's doing as a coach. And we thought Nick Sirianni was a fluke coach, and he was in over himself. And I'm still not a huge fan of him. I'm not changing my tune on Sirianni. I still don't think he's the long-term answer for this team. However, when you compare thinking Nick Sirianni was an overrated coach who was carried by talent during that Super Bowl run versus Brian Daboll being carried by a fluke season his first year as the Giants coach, oh, Brian Daboll looks like the bigger fraud in that scenario now. And today's game with the Eagles beating up on the Giants proved it. Yeah, we're going to spend a little more time talking trash in this one than we are breaking down the game a little bit. But we're still going to talk about the game too. We're not just going to completely roast the Giants. But we decided to throw in a little fun in this one and roast the Giants for the sorry-ass trash organization y'all are. And for the Eagles, I'm hoping that this game, this performance right here, Saquon Barkley, 17 carries, 176 yards, and the defense recording 8 sacks will be a momentum setter going forward. Because the Eagles got 8 today and then 5 against the Browns. We do the math, 13 sacks in 2 games. Eagles defense is finally starting to get pressure on the quarterback. Now, maybe it's one of those things where it took a little bit of time for the defense to get going, and hopefully now that they've gotten some of the rust out of their system, things are rolling now for them. Maybe it could have been a thing of the defense not playing together as a whole during preseason. That may have been a factor for some of the early woes of not getting to the quarterbacks through the first 4 weeks. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see if this defense keeps that momentum up as time goes along. That'll determine whether was it the Eagles defense not having time to get it together during preseason? Did it take the first couple weeks to get it out of their system? Or, they just been taking advantage of the easy schedule. Time will tell on that, but hey, I like it. Defense 15 sacks. You got yourself 13 sacks in 2 weeks. I like that. Now you're going against the Bengals next week, a struggling team who barely beat the Giants, who struggled against the Cleveland Browns, who just lost their quarterback for the season in Watson, which I'll talk about that one more on Tuesday in my Week 7 recap. But the point is, we're going against a Bengals team that, while they've won their last 2, they struggled in both those games against, the Giants, who the Eagles just destroyed, and then the Cleveland Browns. Ironically, our next opponent played our last 2 opponents in right, because our last 2 games were against the Browns and Giants, and the Bengals' last 2 games were against the Giants and Browns. But we'll talk about that more in the Week 8 preview later this week. But hey, the Eagles point being is the Eagles have momentum rolling. The defense is finally looking like an elite unit for a couple weeks. Now, granted, it's against the Browns and the Giants, but you know what? Maybe this is what the defense needs to get its confidence up going forward. Maybe the Eagles can find defense gets back to 2022 form and they start wrecking shit when they're on the field. Maybe that's what we needed. Just a few games, softer games on the schedule, get the defense's confidence up, and they can carry that momentum going forward. Possibly And if so, that would be lovely if we can do such. Keep that momentum going and just roll from there. But you know what? Hey, it's working. But it was working. And Saquon Barkley, I hope the Eagles don't abandon trying to favor the run just because, just because it was the Giants. I hope it was because, let's be honest too. Let's face it, the reason why we went with the run is because it was Saquon Barkley's former team. And even the Eagles front office knew, okay, we got ourselves a favorable matchup here. Let's roll with it. Let's take advantage of this opportunity. Give Saquon the ball in a game where we know that he's going against his former team. We know he's going to come bring his A game. Let's feed him as many carries as we can. And that's what they did. But hopefully the Eagles realized from seeing this, hey, Saquon had a dominant game. Let's keep running the ball. Now, granted, to be fair, though, yes, I understand it was against his former team. That plays a big role in it. But hey, throughout the season, not just this game, but throughout the season, when Saquon gets the ball and the Eagles commit to the run, he's their best weapon on the field. We saw it week 1 against the Packers. We saw it when they did go with the run against the Saints. And we saw it today against the Giants. I don't want to hear those haters say, oh, well, Saquon only had a great game because it was against his former team. Nah, don't give me that. Like I said, look back at week 1 against the Packers. 3 touchdowns in his Eagles debut. Tied a franchise record set by Terrell Owens 2 decades ago in his week 1 performance in his first season. So don't tell me that, Saquon only had a good game because against the Giants. No, it wasn't. It's because Saquon Barkley is that dude at running back. When you put the right talent around him, the right offensive line, and the right wide receivers around him, a guy who still made 2 Pro Bowls without much around him as a Giant, he's soaring as an Eagle with better talent. That's just an example of what happens when you take a running back, a good running back out of a bad situation and put him in a good situation. You can truly maximize their potential. And that's what we're seeing here with Saquon Barkley. I mean, just look at Christian McCaffrey during the 2 seasons he was healthy with the Niners. Look at what he did there. How much of a difference maker he was with a talented team around him. They took him out of a bad situation with the Panthers and put him in a good situation with the 49ers. And it's a shame that he's injured for him this year, but when he was healthy, you saw the difference he made. Point being, history showed in the past, good talent can excel in better situations. And it's happening with Saquon here with the Eagles. Now, granted, last week against the Browns wasn't the best game, but that was only 1 game. Saquon here, he was on point. He was out there. He had that dog in him today. The dog mentality. And he came to play. And even Jalen Hurts, we didn't have any turnovers either. I remember John Grega, the longtime supporter who comes through, is always leaving comments, dropping by his support for my channel. He came through on Friday in my preview and said one of the keys was don't turn the ball over. And they didn't. Now looking, right, that was one of the keys right there that worked in their favor. Feed Saquon the ball. They did that. It worked. Excellent job here by the Eagles. And another one was to get pressure on Daniel Jones. And the Eagles did that, recording 8 sacks, a season high thus far. The Eagles did exactly what they needed to do in this one to get the W. And we didn't have any major injuries too, which was the best part about it. That was the best part about this game. No major injuries that hurt us. Thank goodness. I mean, granted, yes, we got to be mindful though too. While we're happy about it, we're hyped about the Eagles winning and beating the Giants. We have to remember, we did beat the New York Giants. Let's not forget. The Giants, let's not take away from what we did, are a dumpster fire organization. Let's not forget that. But the Eagles did what they needed to do. They finally had an impressive win. They didn't struggle. It's crazy we were thinking about it because in our minds we're thinking, oh my goodness, here we go. We struggled against the Browns. Now we're going to play against a division rival. Division rivals play close, which sometimes happens. We're a little bit worried that the same thing might happen, but it didn't. We actually took care of business. We got the job done. we got the win in convincing fashion. So salute to the guys on this roster for getting it done. So I'm happy right there about that one. I mean, I asked on my channel the poll question, what letter grade do you give the Eagles Week 7 performance, A or B? I got 2 votes, one an A, one a B. Me personally, yeah, I understand it was against the trashy Giants team. Yes, but at the same time, I'm glad we got the win. We did what we needed to, and we got the W. Because when you think about it, you're supposed to beat up on bad teams. And that's what we did. We beat up on a New York Giants team that's struggling, that can't get anything going. We had a statement win. That's nice. And Jalen Hurts, and the good thing was, and we did favor the run because Jalen Hurts only threw 14 times. And he was still effective with it. It was perfect because we didn't force the pass in this one. We actually ran the ball. And I'm hoping this gives the offense confidence going forward to say, hey, let's focus more on the run. It worked well against the Giants. Let's do it again next week against the Bengals. If it works again, okay, let's do it again after that. So I'm hoping this would be a turnaround for the Eagles, but time will tell. Hopefully it is. But man, I mean, I am happy about the game. I'm happy we won. Now, I'm not ecstatic that we won because let's remember, we did beat the Giants after all. We didn't play against we didn't play against the Kansas City Chiefs and dominate. We didn't play this way against the Buffalo for Saquon Barkley. And to the one fan that had that Saquon Barkley jersey with FU Seek, you know what? Don't be mad about Saquon. Be mad at your organization. Your organization, by not giving Saquon his money, all right? Let's get that straight. But for this Eagles team, it was a good performance. And not to mention, Cooper DeJean, he was a solid punt returner too. Don't forget that. His 3 punt returns, he did solid. I got to say, man, I liked what I saw, though, from this game. I did like what I saw from the defense, obviously. Saquon did his thing. A.J. Brown had a nice return game. We managed to stay healthy. We lived up to expectations for once. So even though it was against the Giants, the fact that we actually dominated a game for once that we were supposed to, I'm kind of proud of that. And I'm hoping this is the turning point this team needed to click to live up to their potential. But we'll wait and see. I want to see what does Sirianni do from here. Does he go back to his stubborn ways after this week? Do we struggle against the Bengals? Or do we keep this momentum going from here and only get better as the season goes along? We'll have to wait and see. Because we got to remember, Washington did win against the Panthers, which, granted, the Panthers are trash, but you saw Washington dominated that game. They dropped the Panthers like they didn't have a pulse. But the point of that being is, hey, Washington, in a favorable situation, dominated 40-7. That can be a momentum setter. And they did, remember, have a good performance against the Ravens, even in defeat. This is saying that Washington can be a good team going forward. As long as Jaden Daniels doesn't get screwed over by injuries like RG3 did, that team could be good. That team could be a powerhouse going forward in the NFC. Even though they have a soft schedule, they're winning these games in dominating fashion, which is saying that this team has a chance against good teams. And for the Eagles, we haven't seen that spark from them yet. And I'm hoping today was the first time we get that spark from the Eagles that we got from Washington, that we're getting from Washington with their impressive wins. But hey, a win's a win. I don't know if this is going to carry over going forward. I hope it does. I don't know if am I being biased as a fan? Am I just letting my optimism get in the way where I want this team to continue dominating, or have the Eagles really turned around the corner? Time will tell on that one. But man, I'll say this, but I'm going to end it at this and say I'm happy with the W. We won a game. Win's a win. Take it any way you can get it. Good teams, bad teams, just take the win. We got it against the Giants. Now bring on the Bengals. We'll talk about that later this week. All I want to say is any fears and worries I had about this being the division rival game, that the Giants might put up a good fight against us based off the way we were playing, was put to rest. I can shut up with the criticism, at least for tonight, and just flap my hand, say, fly, Eagles, fly. Now bring on the Bengals. Let's get it rolling. To everyone that stopped by, thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this stream. And before I go, I'm going to have to get a bottle of water and give a toast to this game because this game feels worthy of a toast. So let's do that. 1 minute, I'll be right back. I'm back, folks. Let's do this. Quick toast to the Philadelphia Eagles. Week 7, impressive victory. The first real dominant win of the season. Cheers. Yeah. That's right. Hey, wait, one more.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's freaking go.
Let's go.
Let's freaking go.
Yes, folks. Let's go. One more time. We got to do it before I go off the air. Fly, Eagles, fly, baby. Whoo! Notice that during a good performance where the team was on point, I was a lot more upbeat in this one. Now, hopefully this will be a theme going forward for the live streams. And I admit, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed actually being more fun and more upbeat, more positive about this team. Shouting out the players for doing their thing, giving the coaching staff credit for finally favoring the run. This felt like a breath of fresh air to do this post-game recap. Like the first real recap where I was able to just have some fun. Let's just go out there, joke around a little bit, be upbeat, not so serious. So thanks. I'm proud of the Eagles for doing that. Before I go, I do want to give a quick update. Any of you guys are curious what's going on? The Jets have a 15-6 lead over the Steelers in the second quarter. So that's where we're at right now with this one. I decided to just come on here, do my live stream instead of the short. And I'll say this to everyone that stopped by, thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this stream. As always, if you enjoyed I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday night, getting into Monday morning or Monday, depending if you're catching it on the replay. Hope you enjoyed this stream, whatever. If you haven't done so, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the platform if you haven't done so yet. I'll be back Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to do my Week 7 NFL recap. We'll talk about the rest of the action in the league, so stay tuned for that one, football fans. And again, one more time, fly, Eagles, fly, baby. Keep those wings flapping. Yes, sir. Eagles get the big dub. It was against the Giants, but it was an impressive win. Hope they keep this going forward. It's your boy, Nicky Stees, signing out. Until next time, peace and fly, Eagles, fly.